just don't want to be a reanimator deck in a world of Deathrite Shaman. It's like the absolute worst way to try and fight it. Like we saw a lands deck, and they were able to fight through a Deathrite Shaman, reasonably well, but just by tying up a bunch of mana and making him exile lands instead of Life from the Loam, things like that. But this is, you need one specific card in your graveyard, and Deathrite Shaman can take it out. Fortunately for Hunter and Sumpter and his Reanimator deck, he will not have to worry about the Deathrite Shaman.
Yeah, he has dodge this time around. It's interesting. His deck actually has no answers at all. He's not even trying.
Yeah.
He just whatever. They're not gonna have it.
Right. I'm just gonna turn to him.
Yeah. This is.
He does have some answers in his sideboard, but yeah, realistically,
real loose
he is drawing dead to a Deathrite
Pithing
Shaman.
Needle against a Deathrite Shaman is super awkward because it's like they have Abrupt Decay. It's like
Yeah,
you just know that they're
they
there.
come with Abrupt Decay, so
it's a package deal.
Well,
man.
here's one way to beat a Deathrite Shaman. Thought sees it.
Thought sees on turn 1. He's spotting Delver, Stifle, 2 lands, Bolt, Snare. I imagine he takes the Snare here, right? Unless his hand's real slow and then he takes the Delver.
Unless it's Snare immune. If he has like Entomb cantrips, he might take the Delver, but he probably has a 2-mana reanimation spell, either Exhume or Animate Dead. So
does generally seem the most likely.
Yeah, if you have just Reanimate, I think you could take the Delver there, buy yourself some time. But Alex playing a turn 1 Delver.
And he drew another Stifle, which is not especially useful. Once the Reanimator deck has 2 lands down, it doesn't really need all that many more. So.
Okay, that's a Careful Study from Hunter. And Careful Studies are actually pretty potent. He has 8 giant creatures to discard, so now he gets his choice when he entombs.
Elish Norn, first giant creature. And Iona, second giant creature. So we've got some choices.
So, Careful Study better than Ancestral Recall right there.
Oh, but he did not find a land.
That's gonna hurt. Like, especially if the land he finds is a
fetch. It'll be
a fetch land.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be a land.
So he's right now peeling for 2 swamps, 2 islands, and Urborg, and that's basically it. He's got
3 more Underground
Seas. Sorry. So yeah, he's got about 8 draws that are live in this position. Barring him, Force of Willing a Stifle or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
That's a tough spot to be in.
He also could just have a Reanimate. Also, that will let him. But unfortunately for Alex, he actually and Wasteland would be lights out.
Pretty close to it, yeah. Looks like Alex drew Nimble Mongoose this turn.
I mean,
and,
yeah, definitely want to play
definitely want to play it. Pretty sure we're fine trading like
There's
a
Daze.
Daze is a reasonable one. Like
this is another card you could stifle effectively. This is Hapless Researcher.
Sure. I think I would stifle this if I'm Alex.
It's not the best.
Not using it on his own turn.
Yeah, it's not the best in the world.
I was assuming he could use it that turn to dig for a land. I guess if he doesn't do that, then obviously it's
you sacrifice the draw card, and then so it's a chump blocker and a Careful Study. I would block the Delver in a second.
Yeah, I don't know why we're on this Mongoose at all. He's gonna block and then try to sack. So he was trying to save a point of damage while digging for the land, but I think that killing the Delver buys you more turns.
Okay, so the Nimble Mongoose should be dead, correct?
No, he tried to block and then sacrifice.
Oh, you sacrifice at the cost, yes.
Sacrifices the cost, so. Yeah, I think it's kind of deceptive, when you think about chump blocking creature and getting that ability, but like you're just getting a card deeper, right, with the Hapless Researcher, and if you draw more cards over the course of the game by killing a Delver, that's strictly better.
So here's a Exhume from Hunter. Okay. Another card you could stifle is Animate Dead.
You can stifle Animate Dead, lesser known fact.
Yeah.
If he has this Exhumed, then that makes more sense with him not wanting to trade with a Delver also, since it would be mostly irrelevant.
Yeah.
And he's saving the same amount of damage. So I suppose it would also depend on his reanimation spell, which is worth noting.
So, outs Alex has game 1. Dismember plus Lightning Bolt.
He's just gonna concede.
No, not gonna play those outs.
We knew he had the lightning bolt, so yeah, he was on a 1-outer for his dismember.
Yeah, Singleton Dismember, or like 3 burn spells, but that seems unlikely.
Yeah, or maybe like can a Tarmogoyf ever get big enough in this matchup?
It can get big enough to
combo
live.
With the lightning bolt, I mean.
Oh, unlikely. It's probably a 4/5.
Yep.
So naturally, so 2/3.
Yeah, still need the
combo
dismember.
like double lightning bolt, but yeah.
Okay.
Going to sideboards, Hunter has 2 Fluster Storms that I expect he would bring in, and maybe he might tweak his reanimation targets. He might want like an Inkwell Leviathan or Blazing Archon, as opposed to like Angel of Despair.
Those both seem pretty reasonable. Yeah, Angel of Despair pretty unimpressive against the Rug Delver deck, I think.
Angel of Despair is more impressive against the crazy decks we've seen that have like wild permanents. Yeah. Angel of Despair destroys any permanent.
At its best against the various Show and Tell decks.
Because it's Show and Tell and Angel of Despair. You've seen Goblin decks of all things with Angel of Despair. No way to cast it or reanimate it.
I'm one of those Goblin decks.
Yeah.
I've been one of those Goblin decks. I should say no more.
No more. Had enough. What do you like on Alex's side?
On Alex's side, he doesn't have really a whole lot for this specific matchup. I could see him. He's got these red elemental blasts, some spell pierces, maybe diverts. I feel like you don't want too many of the same kind of style soft counter. Obviously, divert is not that great against actual reanimator spells because
you have to have another
creature. But if you're trying to fight counter wars, I could see maybe
counter wars also discard like Thoughtseize.
Yeah,
Thoughtseize me.
That's a good one.
Thoughtseize you.
Yep. But spell pierce seems like a lock, and red elemental blast. While it doesn't counter like the spells you really want to counter, it's still probably a better card than some of this other stuff.
Red Elemental Blast and Pyroblast can be very awkward when you're playing against discard spells.
Yeah.
There are only 4 there's actually only 2 Thoughtseize in Hunter's. Not that Alex knows that.
Yes, of course.
But so a lot of times they can just like make you discard your actual spells. And then Hunter can resolve a black reanimation spell, while Alex is sitting there with a red elemental blast. It's not doing much. And other thing, like Alex's deck is pretty like solid, like as is. Only the burn spells can really come out.
I agree. And you still even then want to keep in some of those in a lot of spots because they just can shave turns off your
yes.
The Rug Delver deck definitely wants to just get in as much damage as they can, and sometimes you'll just be able to sneak one with a couple of bolts to the face. It's one of the reasons the deck is good.
Yeah. So I would probably like 2 divert, 2 spell pierce against, like take out like 2 chain lightning, the dismember, and like 1 of the bolts, something like that.
So how do you like this matchup? Which deck do you think has the edge?
I think it's not really a matchup thing. It's more of a individual build thing, where if like the Rug deck comes with like surgical extraction, things like that, scavenging ooze I've seen.
Sure.
Like it's more card based than like style based.
Okay, that's reasonable.
Like I don't think one deck has a style advantage over the other. Like obviously the Reanimator deck, it's fortunate for the Reanimator deck. It has some matchups where reanimation spell on the correct creature is game over. Where sometimes like Gristlebrand from the Reanimator deck at almost any point in the game is unbeatable.
Yeah, I remember when Reanimator really first made its headlines with the Reed Duke versus Matt Costa, that finals at the Open Series. Matt Costa was on Rug Delver, and Reed just very casually just put a Gristlebrand down over and over, and it's like, yep, that's it. Sorry.
I'm surprised Hunter hasn't gone to the more popular Show and Tell semi-transformative sideboard. It'd be very good in this match. Alex clearly doesn't have anything good to cheat into play. Whereas that would allow him to sidestep some of the graveyard hate. Not that Alex has any, but most do it in the deck. Yeah, most decks have something.
You can kind of safely assume these days.
And I'm actually surprised Hunter's probably avoided Deathray Shamans given his relative lack of care given to.
It's interesting actually. One of the coolest sideboards I've seen from the Reanimator decks is actually Milton Figueroa's from the Invitational that Todd Anderson won. I believe, he top 8'd that event, so you can see it there. But he had like a Snapcaster Mage transformation, so he became like this blue-black tempo-y, aggro-y deck.
Did he have Delvers as well or something?
Yeah,
something to supplement it. Yeah.
Really pretty odd, but
and he could
unique take.
because he has the like tempo tools in his deck. He has Daze and Brainstorm, Force of Will, Discard. If you want to supplement that with like normal creatures, then go for it. I didn't like the Snapcasters. I actually remember that. I didn't like the Snapcasters suffer some splash damage.
I don't know how good the deck actually was, but it was a very cool idea. I hadn't seen anyone else trying anything quite like that. And it looks like Alex has mulliganed a couple of times here on 5.
So Alex with a land and a pass.
Yeah, Tropical Island and a pass means he obviously has no Delver and no Nimble Mongoose, because he would play both of those cards.
Right. Every once in a while you want to hold up for a Stifle. If that's what you don't have other things going on, and you're like a little land heavy.
I think that's actually kind of reasonable. When you're on a 5, you might just be hoping to like catch your opponent when they just happen to keep like that 1-laner fetch or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's definitely dicey.
But Underground Sea from Hunter, and a pass from him. I think he was legitimately considering discarding.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Decided to take the long road.
Brainstorm from the dual decks. Is it Louis Golgari?
Yeah, I imagine that one's a little tricky to recognize for a lot of people.
Far more recognizable Brainstorm. The ones I use, Ice Age Brainstorm.
This is actually really good for Alex. He doesn't have a second land, I don't think.
Correct.
And just getting to replay this Tropical Island untapped means he can keep open Stifle once again, even if he fails to find lands.
He can put it back in his deck.
Too. Yeah, I imagine that's exactly what he's going to do, and keep one, if not both, of the Scalding Tarns.
I would. If I were Alex, I would put back the Tropical and the.
I think he's just. That's odd. I guess he figures he's going to get the shuffle anyway,
but the second shuffle. The second shuffle is really good as well.
Yeah, I don't think you want to get rid of that second fetch land when you have another Brainstorm in your hand.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd much rather have a fetch land on a Tropical Island if I'm Alex right here. Interesting to see Alex keeping at least one Lightning Bolt. I know some players would go on, if they don't have anything to kill, don't bring the bolts, but I think it's actually a very important part of the Rug arsenal.
I imagine he boarded lightly, like two Spell Pierce and
might
2 blasts for like the 2 Chain Lightnings and 2 bolts or something like that, or the Dismember and a bolt.
Right, something like that. One of the most frustrating things for me is like saying Forked Bolt. Because the burn, when I've made the finals of the Legacy Open in Phoenix last year, and one thing I would do is burn people from 9 routinely.
Sure.
Just wouldn't happen, but like I had to assemble 9 points of burn, and it's a lot easier to do when you're doing it with Chain Lightnings instead of.
Yeah, that's very true. I think the Forked Bolt is really only if you're expecting a lot of Maverick, which is a deck that has almost completely died out at this stage.
And Legacy is such a format that you can't expect things reliably.
That's also very reasonable. Yeah, you just want to play the more powerful card a lot of the time.
Right, exactly. When in doubt, play the better Magic the Gathering card.
Looks like we got Force of Will on top.
Drawing Force of Will, keeping Stifle on top of the deck. So probably a Delver next turn, and it'll flip because the third card down is Stifle.
Yep. It's almost like he planned it.
I might have been okay with Delver into Force of Will, but Hunter deciding that he's had enough. Yeah. He wants a Sphinx of the Steel Wind in his graveyard.
Alex is going to play this Delver, and he'll have. Does he have another Stifle? I think he does. Yeah. Yes. So he can actually go Force of Will and Stifle against an Animate Dead, which is enough to almost certainly get through.
End step Brainstorm. I understand why they wanted to use the cleanup step, but I would have much rather seen him drawn a card than Brainstorm. It's clear that he doesn't have lands. Well, not that clear.
He does now.
He does have a Polluted Delta.
And a swamp, I believe. It looks like
he just doesn't want. Yeah, he doesn't want the swamp.
He just put back both of them, but he's going to draw one for his turn, of course.
So he wants all the cards in his hand.
Yep. I think he's probably just planning to make a move here and wanted to go ahead and just get everything he could available to him.
Yeah.
His opponent is a little mana tight, so...
I mean, there's like a Gristlebrand in his hand he could have gotten rid of.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
That feels like what we should probably get rid of when we have Sphinx available already.
Right. You're not going to get Gristlebrand, but...
I guess we know a lot more about Alex's deck than Hunter does, you know, so he's kind of maybe holding back on how many things he throws away in the bin, or like wants to keep his options open. Like if he loses the Sphinx, he'll need another fatty to bin. He doesn't know that there's no such thing as a surgical extraction in this world.
Right. Hunter deciding to not go for it.
Yeah, he just shipped the turn. Perhaps deciding that he'll just get one more land down, so that way Alex can't have a daze. And after all, he'll get to see Alex's next draw step since he knows that Alex pondered and Captain played a Delver, so he'll know if there's another counter to play around.
So Brainstorm, I believe? Yeah.
Yep.
From Alex.
We don't need 2 Stifles, that's for sure.
And so Fetchland, Daze, Delver of Secrets. So you could put back probably Stifle Lightning Bolt.
I think Stifle Bolt or even Stifle Daze is
I'd be Bolt Daze. If you want... So I would keep one, have one of the blue cards to pitch the Force of Will.
You need a blue card. I think you want to keep blue card for Stifle. Yeah. So
basically, Alex can choose between Daze or Stifle and use the other one.
Yeah. If he's only going to pass with 1 mana up, then I suppose that makes the
this is an
the
Urborg.
Daze the choice.
Yeah.
Urborg's interesting. It actually doesn't. It means Alex can now pay for Daze without cracking his fetch line, which is slightly relevant.
Yeah. So this is gonna get forced.
Removing Daze.
Likely or Stifle.
Stifle. Oh yeah. He has to do the Stifle.
Hopefully, yeah. Hopefully,
he just gets
Hunter.
Him and
Flusterstorm.
That's not gonna do it.
That'll counter the Force of Will.
Yep. But the Daze can now get the Exhume after this resolves.
Right. However, Hunter has a Daze of his own, but that's not enough. Alex still has the fetch land available.
Yep.
So looks like this Exhume is not going to resolve. This is a big problem with playing Flusterstorm in these types of proactive decks.
Yeah.
Reanimators, it's really only a Spell Pierce. For instance only. You're not going to take advantage of the Storm.
Yeah, I've been much more impressed by it in decks like the Niv Magus deck. Obviously, it's cool.
Yeah.
But the High Tide, I think, makes the best use of it as far as combo decks that run the counterspell.
Yeah, even then, I don't like Flusterstorm. I like Pact of Negation.
Well, I mean, I think you have both. I just think that deck can actually really needs to like very effectively win Force Wars.
But the thing is, if you cast a spell, they counter it with something.
Sure.
If you Flusterstorm that counter, they can just counter your original thing again. That's exactly what happened to Hunter's Exhume.
Yeah.
Whereas if you use it proactively, like say I would like it better than Alex's deck when you want to just actually counter like a Brainstorm or something like that.
Well,
the Flusterstorm is going to get it because like too many Storm copies.
Yeah.
Like Flusterstorm is effectively uncounterable.
I think like what I'm saying is in the High Tide deck, I think it's just like a better Spell Pierce because your opponents will often be passing with a lot of mana up. So like a Spell Pierce isn't actually that intimidating.
Right.
Flusterstorm can commonly be for like 3 to 5, and then they just can't pay it at that stage.
So Alex takes down game 2 with his double Delvers.
A swift swing after mulliganing 5. That's the power of Legacy Standout Delver of Secrets. I'm glad we don't have a card that powerful in Standard.
Well, we have Delver of Secrets in Standard. I mean, once again, like everybody was calling for Delver of Secrets to be banned last year, and
it's a product of its environment. That's
exactly.
All it is.
Most cards are.
Yeah, that's very true. There's no such thing as a vacuum, you know.
Yeah.
It's just what surrounds you, and Delver is surrounded by the likes of Brainstorm, Force of Will, Legacy.
Super cheap, effective cards. Whereas and you don't see much. Last match notwithstanding, you don't see a lot of Thragtusk in Legacy.
Not a lot. Some.
Apparently, you see some.
But
simply because like the format's quicker, the mana costs are cheaper, and you gotta keep up. And you can't get to 5 mana in a format of Wastelands and whatnot as easily.
One of the things Wizards has done actually recently that I think is really cool is a lot of the cards they're printing are, making their way into Legacy. Not or I shouldn't say a lot, but a greater percentage than one might expect. You know, like when you got little
Right.
players like Delver, Snapcaster Mage, Deathred Shaman, Thragtusk, these cards aren't like warping their other environments really. Delver came pretty close, obviously, for a while there. But they're still strong enough, and specifically like they're angled in such a way that they can actually get into these other formats.
Right. They interact with a very low mana threshold or whatever. Not super powerful.
Yep.
But powerful for their mana cost, which is exactly what you want in a legacy card.
Deathred Shaman, obviously, just the best example of that in recent memory, considering it's making it on all 3 tiers at this point.
Yeah.
Right? Oh.
I mean, and the other thing is a lot of these cards are creatures. Creatures are just simply more powerful. It's very rare that you see a spell.
Yeah, it's tough.
Breaking. The notable exception being Abrupt Decay.
Yeah,
Abrupt Decay is everywhere in Legacy, but literally almost everything you want to kill is killable, and the uncounterable clause is far more relevant.
Yeah, I think the uncounterable clause really makes a lot of those cards significantly stronger consideration for Legacy.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. Interestingly, the other cards are also making that jump. Supreme Verdict, obviously people thought it would be a pretty reasonable card against Rug Delver and Merfolk, and it's played some role for Legacy.
I think it's better than actual Wrath of God.
Yeah.
Even when it's not good, it's still a blue card. I think that's a legitimate thing, because you can only draw so many Swords of Plowshares before it's really hurting you.
Right. Interestingly, I've also seen Counterflux catching on a bit in Modern, as it's a counterspell that Splinter Twin can't really defend itself very well from.
Oh, you're just like, Exarch? No.
No, nice dispel, thanks.
Yeah. Okay. So don't keep on Modern too much.
It looks like. Yeah, it's a really recent card I've seen. I think trying to remember the exact name. There's an Isochron Scepter deck that's been boarding it and doing reasonably well. Psy 199 Ors has been playing it.
On Magic Online.
Yep. And I definitely, as soon as I saw it, I was like, yeah, this seems like a very reasonable spot to be playing this card. And then it's like, Twin, no. that's the last word, if you catch my drift.
Yeah. So, one thing, when I picked up Rug Delver, I read an article on Star City Games. It's in the archive. It's probably about a year old now. But it was by Drew Levin, and it broke down how to, play Rug as a legacy deck. And I found a lot of things, and one of the things I really took from the article, never mulligan with Rug. You should probably keep like 80 to 90% of your hands.
I remember him talking about that, because so many of the cards are just cantripping or trading.
Very interchangeable, and it may not look good, but
yeah,
Alex is seemed to broken, and there's also no way to replenish your card supply.
Interestingly, in that last game, I think Hunter's Waiting may have actually wound up costing him pretty significantly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Considering he had a daze, and his daze was invalidated once Alex was able to actually put together that third land.
Yep.
If he'd gone with his potential cleanup step plan on turn 1, that's what could have happened.
Yeah, he didn't go for an Exhume until Alex had the setup. Yep. That's another thing for fighting against Rug. A lot of times, just go for it. That can often be a positive play.
The age-old battle between wizards on this board.
1/1 wizards, blue 1/1s for 1 mana.
One delves for secrets, the other researches in a hapless fashion. Are there secrets? Nope.
Well, there are secrets. You have to reveal the card.
Sure. Well, he hasn't found a juicy one.
Yeah, it's such a poor flavor, I think. I think when you delve for secrets, you should look for cards that you don't have to reveal. Keep it secret to yourself.
Maybe that's how they saw the card playing out. That's how it works for me. Is that?
Everything stays a secret. Maybe on the front side, he is keeping his secrets.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, he shares the secrets with the world.
On the back side, he's definitely a little out there. Alex did fetch this turn rather than play. I believe he had another land in his hand, so burning one of those fetches, but thinning the deck in the process.
Yeah.
Doesn't have a brainstorm, so not so bad.
There's still like brainstorms in the deck.
Yeah. I generally do prefer to hold the fetches, especially with a Delver in play. Perhaps on the next turn, I might want to just play a fetch pass, see the top card. Oh no.
Yeah, you can use it to scry one. But The first appearance of our Tarmogoyf die.
First appearance on the day?
On the day.
Wow, on the day.
Their first Tarmogoyf.
Hunter brainstorms in the end step.
Yeah, another thing for you guys is this is the classic AJ Soccer would not be happy with you brainstorm.
Yeah, I don't generally, obviously, like the end step brainstorm, we've talked about it. In a combo deck like Reanimator, I think it can be a little more forgivable since you're often trying to like just untap and nut them.
Yeah.
But it's definitely the worst way to get maximum value.
Yeah, you're not getting value. If your hand is very excellent and you just need a card.
Yeah, something to push it over the top, or
yeah.
if you think you're going to win on the very next turn and you just want to get the full lockdown.
Mm-hmm. Like if you think the next turn is like the most important turn of the match.
Basically, if casting it later isn't going to significantly affect your chances of winning, then
you can cast
there's
it
not
now.
really a downside to casting it down.
Right.
Yeah. I think that's a relatively succinct way to put it. Or moving the Tarmogoyf to the side after it gets updated, I guess.
So it looks like Hunter's a little on the flooded side.
Hunter is making that monster grow for Alex.
Yeah, what a guy. It looks like a creature's probably gonna Angel of Despair and Inkwell
and an artifact. Wow,
and an artifact.
That guy just went
what a sweetie bear.
Alex cast a Squire and he's untapping
with a 4/5.
Yeah,
I believe 5/6.
5/6. Yeah. What a clock. Actually, might just legitimately be putting Hunter on a 2-turn clock from 1/1 and 1/2.
The hapless researcher might have something to say about that, but
he might. We'll see. He hasn't been very wordy thus far.
One thing I've not been a big fan of in Hunter's particular list is his lack of Thoughtseize. He has 2 of them, but I think it's one of the best cards and one of the biggest appeals to play Reanimator over a deck like Dredge.
Yep, I agree. One of the nice things about Reanimator is it's a combo deck that can play Hand Disruption and Force of Will.
Yeah,
and it all
and
just
it
works.
still and can still play combo because its combo is so compact. Like
with Brainstorm and Careful Study, you can filter through when each of those cards is not that great as well.
Right.
Big deal. Exactly the sort of thing I think most people were afraid of when Entomb got unbanned.
Yes. It's not as bad without Mystical Tutor.
Yeah, I think it's a
it was a monster.
Deck, but
yeah.
It is one of the better combo decks because of exactly how it does business.
Yeah.
We did draw a Brainstorm as we surmised might occur, and we still got that Volcanic Island.
Yeah, we do not have a way to fetch away whatever we put back.
It looks like Alex has a Delver, but he's a little concerned with putting back his Daze or his Spell Snare because those are his only like relevant spells for interaction. Yeah.
Yep.
He's gonna.
It looks like he did not. Yeah.
With it.
Yep.
Block and sack. Yep, that's fine. He may even just keep the 1/1 as his Force of Will, blue card, because that way he can hold on to.
Yeah, that's reasonable as well.
An additional mode of interaction. I think that's fine with a 5/6 Tarmogoyf down.
Yeah, I mean, playing an additional creature doesn't change the clock, but Alex disagrees. He's going to likely play
considering it. Yeah, I really don't think it would. Plus, it's a mana for days if you have to, cast that Spell Snare.
Yep.
Alex arrives at the correct. I think the correct choice.
I think it's a good play by Alex. Like his impulse was like, this Delver of Secrets. I should play it. Yeah, it can attack. But in reality, Hunter's at 16, facing down 8 points of power. And that Delver of Secrets is not going to change the clock, and it has value in Alex's hand.
We're going to go ahead and just swing in here.
All right, so the life total is a little off. He's at 15, falling to 7, but the number of turns does not significantly change.
And he does go ahead and cast the second Tarmogoyf, which I think is fine. You kind of lose a little bit of your ability to play around days, but...
And so... I wonder if we can get this Gristlebrand into play. Doesn't look like he... Yeah. We'll be able to. Because he's going to have to fight through a Spell Snare and a...
Yeah, he only has 3 spells, and Alex has several counters there. So
I think Hunter had the counter backup. He had a Force and a Daze.
Yep.
But he did not have the reanimation spell.
Which is definitely